Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Twist Johnson. So grab your substance or your drinks, or stay sober-minded, if you will. And with that being said, let's start the show. But if you're feeling my vibe, like, share, and subscribe. You can catch me on all platforms down at the description below. And before we get into this young lady in the camera with me, we got the current events that nobody asked for. So today's current events is coming from the Source magazine. And it's happy heavily birthday to the late Mobb Deep's prodigy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today he would have been turning 50. My squad would like to send a salute to the late rapper and just give love to his family today. So happy heavily birthday to Prodigy. For y'all who don't know, he's one part of Mobb Deep. And if you're not familiar with it, I know this is throwback hip hop, and we got all walks of life in here. You might be familiar with the song "Halfway Crook." Scared to death, scared to look. You should, cause ain't no such thing. You get the picture. But look that up, okay? So the next part, since it's so short, today also you have in hip hop's history, Lil Wayne. For you youngers out there, y'all call him Tunchi. um, his his album, The Block is Hot, turns 25 today. Yes,
Wow.
ladies and gentlemen, for those of y'all who don't know Lil Wayne, he was killing the airwaves in the early 2000s with the drought mixtapes. And also, later he had the Carter series, 1, 2, and 3. Hey, Mr. Carter, all of that. If you're familiar with the drought, that was, a lot of production of Gangsta Grizzles. So shout out to that album, The Block is Hot. Shout out to Lil Wayne Tucci, if you know him that way. Speaking of rap, today we got my sister in the building, another New York native. We does this. Get in the camera, sister. We gotta see you. Okay. So tell us who you are, where you from, a little bit about yourself. Even though I did that. We got it.
So thank you for having me, of course. Shout out to Twist for bringing me in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So my name is Peaches with a Z, of course. I am from New Jersey, the Garden State, the underrated state, New Jersey. I'm gonna say that. A little bit about myself. I'm 30 something. We're gonna leave it right there. I'm
Leave it
30
there.
something. I have a 13-year-old child. His name is Isaiah. He is super expensive, and we'll leave it at that. I have been in the music business since I was 13 years old. I had a contract when I was really, really young. And I just, I always loved music. I've always gravitated towards music. I recorded my first song, I believe, when I was 13 years old. My first ever performance was, I believe, I was with this group and we did an opening act for Craig Mack. He did Flavor in Your Ear, and this was in Connecticut. I think I was 14 when I did that. And I'm an independent artist. I've been with groups, and I've collaborated with a lot of people, and I just love music. And yeah.
Before we jump further in the interview, we got the pour out or pour up. So who you pouring out for, or who you pouring up for?
Well, for my mom passed away um, on September 24th, a week after her birthday. So we're going to drink to her.
Let's drink that up. Shout out the moms. Let's
My
do this.
mama, Ibis Marin. She was a mother of 10. She was an amazing woman. I'll be just lucky if I could step in her shoes for a little bit. So I'm being more intentional about honoring what she wanted me to do. And, she had 10 kids, so she had to be divided so many ways. And a lot of people don't understand that, I always fought with my mom, like, why did you have so many kids? You gave everything for your kids, and I couldn't. And she said, some people's dream is to play baseball or do this. This was my dream, to have a big family. So shout out to my mom.
Shout out to
There's
Mom
nobody
Dukes.
like her.
And we gonna pour out for Mom. Here we go. Rest in peace, Mom. We know you're doing your thing in heaven. On a lighter note, Peaches. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are cousins of the tri-state. You got Jersey and you got New York in the building. Y'all don't know her, but I do. but this is her platform for the hour. So let's talk about her. You said that you were contracted. You've been on a rap scene since you were 13 years old. What are the struggles of being an independent artist, and what are the struggles being young, being signed?
Okay, so when I was young, I started doing music with my brother Chris. He's the one that he basically begged my mom. I'll never forget it that day. Because I used to hear him in his room, and we didn't even have a door in our room, but through the walls I could hear him. So I used to write and do my own little thing. And one day he heard me, and he was like, "Oh, that sounds really good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to do this." And he begged my mom, because my mom was really strict. My parents were really strict. We weren't allowed out at all. But he begged my mom, and she said yes. And that was it for me. But I struggled a lot. I mean, we were inner city kids. Didn't have a lot of money. I couldn't afford to have, the things that I thought I needed at that time to thrive, which I didn't, because all I needed was my talent. But a lot of people didn't take me serious. I struggled to be seen and to be heard for so long. I was put on the shelf for a lot of years from a lot of different groups and people. And I knew I was talented, and they knew I was talented. But it got to a point where I was going to the studio every day, and I felt like I'm down with all these people and everybody's doing so well, and I'm just sitting here waiting. And at some point, I just said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go get money. And that's what I did. I put the music on the back burner, for a while. And I wasn't as committed or consistent. And I believe, yeah, it was me. I was young. But also, I didn't really have the people backing me the way I needed. So, and I was a female, so that was already strikes against me. Again, I didn't have, the money or the backing, but I had the talent and I had the drive. And once I did tap in, it was a problem. But yeah, it's all about community and having the right people, especially when you're young, because you're so impressionable. You start doing things to be seen, and it takes out the substance and the integrity of when I started and how I started. And I looked up to groups like Wu-Tang and the Locks, and it was at that time it wasn't like it was more respected to be wholesome and not, show your body and, lead with your mind, that 90s stuff, and then I was all that. That's who I was. And then, the game changed, and then whatever I was rapping about wasn't important, or I was like, nah, show some skin or do this. And I was a rebel. So, I mean, I leaned into it a little bit, but it wasn't me and I didn't like it. And it's all about individuality.
Right. Like for all rappers, like image is everything. I had a female artist that was on the show like a couple of weeks back, and she was just talking about the struggle. She was MC back in the early 2000s, late 90s, and when the game changed, I mean, of course we always had the Little Kims, the Foxy Browns, Trinas of the game, but now it's more like you got to have skin in the game, literally when it comes to women. She was expressing how difficult it is to be respected as a female rapper in the industry if you're not revealing. So, you as a female artist, do you feel like people respect the lyricism or they respect the appeal?
I think like back in the day, I remember when I came in, it was all about, okay, you have to have the whole package. It has to be, you have to know the business, you have to know you have to have the look, and you have to have, it's all about what they want. And now I think we're blessed. There's still those factors where you have to build your audience, and a lot of people are not woke, and they want the aesthetics, and they go for that. But however, because of my experience and the longevity that I do have, whether people know me or not, I never stopped. I took little breaks, but I did what I had to do, and I learned some really hard lessons. But I believe there should be a balance of both. I feel like you can't, you got to be a little bit appeasing to the eye, but that doesn't mean you have to compromise your values or your integrity. you know and also you want to look good for you. You want to, and now there's so much individuality is praised. Now It's all a lot of that phony shit, a lot of that those BBLs, a lot of that stuff is going out of style again. Thank God. Not that, I'm not at all, downplaying any women or, who just wanted to do it for their self-confidence or anything like that or whatever. I'm not judging anybody. However, I know that especially in the music business, if you didn't have a certain look or you weren't really like, acknowledged. And that sucks because beauty fades, beauty fades.
Absolutely.
And, but I think that, there's new opportunities now to be yourself where you don't have to. And if you have good music, then fuck that. Yeah, lead with your shit.
Hmm.
And if nobody likes it, there's a crowd for you, and maybe you're not meant for everybody. you
Right.
know and sometimes you got to start your own trend. You start that trend and you keep going, and before you know it, you got a whole following of people that relate to you and understand, and is bigger than you. Once
Right.
you get into this, like, I feel like my purpose, I always wanted to be liked and seen until I got to a point where I'm like, fuck that, maybe I'm just meant for a certain group, and I'm just meant to do this. And once I let go of the ideas of, my insecurities of not looking like them and not having as much money as them, I started flourishing, man. I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. And I have a
Hmm.
good following, and I feel like I don't want to be a part of groups that I don't align with their values and their morals. I don't want to be a hot girl scamming, and understand what I'm trying to say. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if like in the rap game now, back then, female artists are more respected, whether they were villain or they just spitting lyricism. They running the game right now. You got a lot of different talent for this new generation that like the Little Kims, the Foxy Browns,
Hmm.
again, the Trinas, that the Missy Elliott's that paved the way for these new talents to come out.
Absolutely.
Now you got the Ice Spices, you got the Gorillas, you got the Lottos, you got the Cardi B's, Scarlett now. She's one that she tried the sex appeal thing, but she stays in her lane. She's wearing
Hmm.
the baggy clothes, the punk rock, golf shit, and she's spitting that raw talent
And she's
from
flourishing.
that Bronx. So like the ladies are killing the game. So as long
Absolutely.
as and I feel like they're getting more recognition than they have before. It's a lot more female MCs that's in the front of the big screen than it is men at this moment. But talking about music genre, now we had the birth of drill that's been out for a little while after the mumble rap saga. Here came the drill. Um, had the art of storytelling and lyricism. Do you feel like people still um they still what's the word I'm looking for? Appreciate. Do you think that they appreciate the storytelling and the lyricism like they did once before, or is it about vibe and like trying to see if you're gonna catch the op and spin a block?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everybody, storytelling like the Nas's and the Slick Ricks and that was dope back then. The AZs, and where you can visualize. You can visualize when you hear a song and you can visualize everything they're saying. That was dope back then, and we definitely appreciated that. I don't know if it's the same now. I mean, I think A Boogie's kind of sort of that way, right? He's a
Hmm.
storyteller. Tory Lanez. We do have those still. We have those,
Yeah, like neat boxes and Dave Eastis of the game,
Exactly.
like they're
I think they're
storytellers.
appreciated. I think they're undervalued.
Yeah, Nino
Absolutely.
Man. Yeah, I mean
Absolutely.
it's definitely a different territory. Even though they're younger, you got to remember who have their hands on them. Like you got Dave East, who he's his mentor is Nas,
Mhm.
and you got Neek Bucks, who his mentors is like fabulous. You see him with Jim Jones, with
Mhm.
Mano, and he's from the east side of Harlem. And these are the giants of the game that we grew up listening to, and they come from the locksmith craft of storytelling. And then like the people who influence you and you look up to, they are the masters and the
Mhm.
masters of storytelling.
Absolutely.
When I listen to your material and then I see your content when you throw it up, and I say that you have a calling for this talent, especially when it comes to lyricism, storytelling, and sticking to a theme. But I also see some pain. So you could tell you've been through a thing or two about a thing or two. Where does your music come from?
Um, my music. I think my music started in pain, My grandfather was a writer and he was a composer in Cuba. And he wrote for famous artists, but he wrote for white famous artists. He was, a black man. He had his band and they would do their thing. But I don't think he ever got the recognition that he deserved, and because of his color or whatnot, and the cultural clashes in Cuba at the time, the Batista and all that. But I think I'm rooted musically through my bloodline. But I think I started music because of pain. I was a foster kid, you know, impoverished. It's just a lot of that pain. So a lot of my music is pain music, and by the grace of God, I was given the opportunity to transmute pain into good music, and share my experiences, and hopefully, somebody will hear it, feel me, and they could feel healed in a weird way. That's what music is. Music is healing. Music is it heals your soul, I believe. So yeah, I think that's my music started in
Okay.
pain.
I think that a lot of inspiration it starts from the pain. The experience comes from pain. As an artist, when you're on the ones and twos and you put in the words on wax, you have to channel where did that come from. Some of us come from absent parents, addiction, substance abuse, domestic violence,
Yes, all that good
being
stuff.
being being less fortunate. You hear these stories a
I
lot
don't
just
want to
be,
say all that, but
yeah.
you said it.
Yeah, I mean that's where it comes from. A lot of the best lyricists out there, the best flows in the bars, it comes from experience of being hungry at night, eating
Mhm.
breakfast for dinner, putting water in cereal because you don't have
Mhm.
milk, getting beat up, whether you're a man or a female, or like not being able to come out the closet, or being less fortunate, being teased in school, and now look at me now. So a lot of that channels into music. You see a lot of times now, even that's an art when you're talking about the drill artists and they're talking about spinning a block and catching an op and putting somebody in a pack. It's still explaining like the pain and the glory, even though it's glorifying in a negative way, it's still storytelling of what's going on. The
Exactly.
pain and suffering of the culture as,
Exactly.
we take one out, I'm taking you out, we're gonna get one up. It's like we playing tag, you're it. At the same
Mhm.
time, they still formulating a craft of words and playing with
Absolutely.
it. And I like it a little bit. It makes you dance. You spin, you gotta be able to get
I like it
sturdy.
too. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what? We can't take away from, I don't want to misconstrue anybody to misconstrue my words. When I say like, girls dressing like this or doing this, or I mean it in a way like I don't want any artist to devalue who they are, to get clout. I want people,
Mm-hmm.
if that's who you are, then that's who you are. You want to do that, then do it. But do it because you want to. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Not because you want motherfuckers to like you. Do it because that's who you are and you like it. You like that, whatever you do that. But just stay authentic to yourself and don't demoralize or devalue yourself because you want other motherfuckers to like you when you don't even know them and they don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the shit is temporary.
Right?
And we can't devalue these kids and their, a lot of people be like, I don't like that music. But um, at some point or another, if you're an established artist, you change over the years. You're not, because a lot of the shit I used to say when I was, 13, 14, 17, 20, that's not my mindset right now. So
Mm-hmm.
you change, you elevate, as your life progresses. So you can't take it from the young kids are out here doing it or saying whatever they're saying, or because that's their reality. Like you said, right now that's their reality, and
Yes.
they want to be heard too. So we got to hear them out. We got to hear them out, and we can't judge them because every established artist was at one point in their shoes or another. All we can do is open doors, open their eyes, teach them, show them, don't do that because or if you do that, it's gonna lead to this. And I'm not doing it in a bombarded way, like putting them down. You do it by you lead by example. You show them, you talk to them, you try to understand them. So yeah.
I mean, you absolutely right. Every era had its niche. Like we could talk about drill music and say it's crazy, but what about the early 2000s? Or what about when music actually started? Yes, it had a more positive message when you talk about the Furious Fives and you're talking about like the Queen Latifahs of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes into gangster rap. You got gangster rappers out there. Then like the Biggie and Tupac era, and then switched up to like the Jada Kisses and Fabulous eras,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the drill. But if you look back in time, everyone was saying some wicked shit, and I'm glad you put that out because if you look at the Jada Kisses of the game, the Jim Joneses of the game, and the Fabulouses of the game, Too Short, Snoops. You got to remember when they were first coming out, they were more rugged, more raw. They
Mm-hmm.
were talking about the streets because that's where they were from. But
Exactly.
longevity, you start to see the conversations change to where now they talking positivity, how to build a brand, how to get out the street, how to
Exactly.
do something with the money. Even the ones that's the arts of the storytellings where they talking about the coke and the crack and the cocaine and like the misfortunes of being in poverty, they also now just talk about it in past tense, but what you could do about it to elevate different. So
Exactly.
yeah, we can't
Exactly.
we could look at these kids and be like, oh, I mean, that's not the type of music I want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But you were listening to it. It was just a different era and it was formulated
Exactly.
different.
And it
When
started with you.
yeah,
We
even
led them to this. Also, we can't knock them. We gotta embrace it. We gotta
mhm,
embrace it, and everybody has their truth. And then I feel like also once you have once you've developed you're a developed artist and stuff like that, you learn that your voice, you have a responsibility. You have
mhm,
a responsibility, and what you say can be held against you. So you got to remember that there's kids looking up to you, and as an established artist, or artist with longevity like you were talking about, once you're at a certain point, you start to think about your words and what you say and even your actions, because there's kids looking up to you, and you got to take that serious.
mhm.
I mean, we're human. Sometimes I be crashing out like, fuck you. But then, I ground myself like, damn, I got to chill because I can't put this on my page. I be walling sometimes like, cause you get tired of, but then you ground yourself and you're like, all right, let me just relax and not crash out too bad.
Nah, not at all. Like let's about the music industry. When you're an independent artist, some people, when they get on, when you see videos, you see the glamour, you see the money, the cars, the gang, you see all of that. But people don't know. I've actually spoken to artists. If they're not out there, if getting it, how to get it. Some people are getting this from their 9 to 5 to pay for everything they got, and it's a lot that comes from it. Back then you had the distribution was out of the car or just standing outside trying to give out
Hmm.
your CDs, or you on that piff, and the internet
I
wasn't
was
as
on both.
broad as it was exactly, and
I
but
had
now,
cassette tapes. I had
yeah,
cassette tapes in the 2000s, and I used to keep them in the deli, the 24-hour deli. And I gave them away for free because that's how bad I wanted it. And people
hmm
were making fun of me because it was like, the CDs are already out. She look how poor she is. She can't afford, but I didn't care. I was still doing it,
and
and
it
I
was
had
word
them
of
all
mouth.
over.
It was word of mouth. The
I
the
had them
crazy
all
thing is
over.
when I was out there trying my hand at music, me and my boy, we would give out our CDs with a nickel bag of weed when Green was popping. Like that's like just to
That
get
was
someone to
smart.
get it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but it was
Hmm.
a different time. And in order for you to get to another state, like someone had to put your name out there. Radio had
Exactly.
to like catch your attention from somewhere. But now it's so broad where you have social media, you have all these other platforms that you can kind of put your music out. But what I was getting at was the steps that comes with putting music out, getting the videos, getting the people to come, the production, the editing, the studio time. Like, what are the stresses of being an independent artist when it comes to putting the material out inside of society?
Everything is on you. Everything is on you. Everything is on you. You got to pay for everything. And then if you're a perfectionist like me, You know, I got stuff I sit on for years before I drop it, and that's facts. And maybe that's the little kid inside me, still wanting to be liked, in a weird way. Um, but like you said, I work for myself, and I gotta fund everything, on top of being a single mom, and um, you gotta pay for everything, the beats, you gotta go to the studio, and then you gotta find good studios where people are not gonna make you feel inferior, or it's just a lot. It's a lot to be an independent artist. It's not easy, but if this is what you love to do, then it's definitely worth it. Then I say go for it. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter, what adversities you face. This is yours. At the end of the day, you can say, I did this shit for myself, by myself. Obviously, you got good people around you that want to see you flourish, and those are few and far in between. For me, the satisfaction of knowing I did it, and I did it for me. I worked really hard, and people don't understand. I work 11-hour days. I got a child. I got to do everything. And then I got to squeeze in my music where I can. And then once I do all this and then I drop it and it only gets like 50 likes, you have to be willing to be okay with that. Mentally prepare yourself. Like, I'm doing all of this and I might not, I might not get the results that I want, but it's okay, because it just takes one person, one share, one, and even if you don't, you did it for you. You love the music and you dropped it, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody can take that from you.
Right, which ties into my next question. Some people, they spend a decade trying to get that cosign, get that recognition. It's thousands and thousands of dollars that they probably didn't have, hours and hours of studio time, and sometimes they never get it, or
Hmm.
sometimes they get it, but it's not what they thought it was going to be. When is it time to say, okay, this is not it?
I think that every true musician never stops doing music. You know, I think it comes to a point where you say, I'm doing this for me. Oh, I'm not doing this to be seen or to be heard. I'm doing this for me because I love music, and music is inside me. And if you notice, I know a lot of musicians, and when they stop and shit and they just live their normal lives, they're super depressed and they feel that void inside them. Like, damn, I'm missing something. I'm missing something. And it's music, because you were born to do music, whether you're heard by 5 people or 1 million, 100 million people. Music is for you, is to satisfy your soul, because you're good at it, because you have that talent, and you got to tap into that and really buckle down and say, in the beginning or the end, this is for me. I'm doing this for me. I'm talented. I killed this fucking song and I'm doing it. And even if I'm paying for it, I did this shit for me, and my kids will hear it, and my grandkids once I die. And this is something that they can say, wow, I come from this, bloodline. I think about my grandfather, a couple of his songs made it, but it wasn't from him. It was other people, and I'm sure he was happy, but a part of him must have been like, damn, I want to be, that must hurt, because he needed the money. And but I'm sure at some point he made peace and said, at least my music's there, and I'm doing this for me. So I think you just got to change your mindset. Just think like that. I'm doing this for me. If nobody else hears it, oh well, God hears it. I hear it. I'm satisfied. I did a good thing, and that's it. That's how you just gotta lead.
Right. That's a beautiful thing, because I talked to rap artists. I've had artists up here, and just watching interviews on higher platforms, everyone says, "Hey, I just gave up because like it was a hobby or it didn't work," or they will tell like the backstory of how many years they actually been out versus how many years they were exposed, and it all comes down to just self-preservation and self-reflection first, doing it because it's an art and it's something that you
Hmm.
love, that you want to share with the world. A lot of these artists, they come in because someone told them, yo, they got it, they got the
Hmm.
talent, or they see it and they feel like it's for them, so they start to invest in themselves, invest in the craft, and realize that if you don't get that viral moment, which all of us try to catch, or we looking at the numbers and it's only like one or two people that's supporting, we get on the stage and people don't know your lyrics verbatim. After a few months or like 2 or 3 years, the consistency, you get overwhelmed and you drop out. You
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do this. But the thing is that like if this is an art, if this is your craft, if you have a passion for it, it has to be for self first. That's how
Hmm.
other people could take you seriously. But
Absolutely.
people give up before they reach their peak. Not everyone is meant to be on the A-list celebrity TV scene. Not everyone is meant to be a millionaire inside of the rap game or the music industry. But everyone is meant to utilize the art in the craft to give someone out there some inspiration and motivation. And I think that's where people get it misconstrued when it comes to being a rapper versus being an MC. People don't know
Hmm.
the definitions and the difference. Like the MCs, they are like the fathers and the grandfathers and the mothers and dads of the craft and the cousins. And they have a passion for this. It's an art, it's a
Hmm.
diary. Rappers are just people who can formulate good words, put it together, and put it on wax and make it sound like fire. That's basically the
Yeah,
difference. For y'all
I
who don't know
agree.
that out there. So, what would you say to a person who wants to be an artist, feels like they have it, but they don't have the funds, they don't have the backing, they don't have the cosigns? Like, what is some information you want to give to some young ladies or young fellas out there?
I would just say, if you truly in your heart you love it and you're good at it, and you wake up thinking about it and you go to sleep thinking about it. Once you're in the studio and your body change. Look, I have goosebumps. That's crazy talking about this. I would just say, don't give up. I was counted out since I was a kid, man. I was too poor. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't slutty enough. I wasn't compliant enough. I didn't want to stay in the box. I didn't want to dye my hair or change my name. I would say, if this is seriously what you're into, I would say save your money and go after it. There's so many opportunities now that you can use, like the internet, and all the old heads. We be like, we didn't have that back then, but it's a fact. Nowadays you could just grab a microphone, you know, open up a TikTok account, show up with a speaker and just do it. Do your thing. Think outside of the box. Do things that nobody else is doing. Be authentically you. Be authentically you. Show the world who you are, and if you're really serious about it, be consistent. It's going to be hard. I went years without, I went some years with chilling with celebrities to just, doing nothing, doing Uber Eats, like so many ups and downs, man. But music, if you love it's going to call your soul. Once you're not doing it, you're going to be depressed and sad and down. If this is truly your calling, then you do whatever you got to do to get it. And I mean that in a good way.
Hmm.
Don't go do something stupid, or don't go sign your soul, for that. You do what you got to do in the right way, because everything built on a faulty foundation is not going to withstand
Hmm.
longevity. So you do things with integrity. You stand up for yourself. You don't never let nobody put you in no fucking box. And you go out and you get it, and you make a name for yourself. And every time they tell you no, you go harder, you do double. And that's my formula. Even my own people shot me down, told me I wasn't good enough. And I think I've been proving them wrong. And you just gotta have tough skin, man. You're gonna get 1,000, 10,000 no's before you get that one half a yes. And just start your own trends. Utilize every single little thing you can get. Think outside the box. Think of innovative ways. With that mindset and that mentality that you're doing the music for you, nobody can convince you that you can't do it. Then I think you'll be golden, man. And
Amen.
of course, you give it to God. Of course, you give it to Him and you say, God, if you want to give it back, then you give it back.
That
And I
part.
think you'll be blessed abundantly.
Amen. Like it's there's a flip side to that part. Like people who follow rap, you see how rap artists will start out, regular clothing, different type of flow, and they probably have their team when they get in front of these A&Rs and these managers that like are part of the contracts and like these labels, and they want them to change their image. You can see Uzi Vert, like Lil Uzi, he had a different type of style when he first started out. Look at him now. You got like the what is his
And I
name?
like,
I love it.
right?
But I'll just leave it with him and say this is that like a lot of rap artists they don't know um until they get in it, and you can see the depression that they have because
Hmm.
they had to change the image, they had to change their personas from what they were so they can make it. What do you think about when you get in front of these major leads and now they're saying, "Hey, we love your music, great lyrics. We love it, but we need you to do this, that, and the third to, kind of please like the public in a different way. So yeah, we want you to change your hair to black. We want you to put contacts in your eyes. We want you to make sure you're sucking a lollipop while you're doing your video, and we'll give you millions of dollars to do this." How do you feel about that?
I think I've been in that situation more times than I want to admit to. And I'm going to say that it's really hard. I'm going to say that there are people in positions of power who know what they're doing, who are good with aesthetics and a lot of the stuff we don't know about. However, I feel like I stood my ground because I felt like they wanted to change me and I already knew who I was. So if you don't know who you are, anybody can come in and just change you around. And I'm truly a believer in if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. So
Mm,
I feel like there should be a balance. I feel like you can compromise, if it's valid and what they're saying is valid. But like I said before, if it compromises your value or who you are as a person, then I think it's a red flag and you should run as fast as you can no matter how much money they offer you. I think yeah, I think you should just be authentic to yourself, and it doesn't matter about the money because that money can go. And you owe them.
mm.
You don't want to
All
owe
right.
nobody nothing. So yeah, I think there can be a healthy balance if it's a healthy dynamic in that sort, of way. If they're giving you good advice, like, you can't do this because you something not that crazy, then I think there could be a compromise, especially if it's a reputable business and company. But anything other than that, then I say run. I say run. It don't matter about the money. Just run. You should
All
just
right.
run.
Okay. Before we wrap it up and I'll bring us out, what's next? What's next for Peaches in the
Um,
music world? What do you got going on?
So I have a few joints. I had a joint I was supposed to drop and my mom passed, so a lot of things got put on hold. And to be completely honest with you, my mom's death really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I felt like she stood her ground. She stood up for herself. She stood up for her children. She was relentless in her pursuit of just wanting to give us the best life. And she sacrificed everything for her 10 kids. And we came out, good people. We're not drug addicts. We're not psychos. We're good people. And I think for me, I cut a lot of people off. A lot of people don't agree with it. And I just feel like right now I just need really, really solid people in my corner. I feel like there shouldn't be no weird vibes around anybody, especially if my intentions are always pure. And um, I lead with integrity. I'm not perfect. I have a lot of flaws, but I'm always intentional. I don't want me to do something to you that, I don't want to be done to me. And I feel like I need people like that around me. If it's not the same way, if our values don't line up, if our directions aren't the same way, then I don't need to be associated with anybody. And that goes
Right.
for family as well. That's how deep this shit is, because I feel like my mom's gone. That was my greatest ally. So now I got to really stand 10 toes and do what I got to do. Um, and so for me, it's unknown. I have a few projects coming up. I'm looking to collaborate with new people. But I do have a couple things up my sleeve. And I'm just open. I'm open to the new.
Right. You know what I'm gonna say it on air because I really want you guys to work together. It's two individuals that come to mind, and that's reality. He's a musician. He's a music artist. His domain is used mostly R&B. He's a hell of an artist. I mentioned him to you before, but you probably lost it in the DM. And I also mentioned to him, you. And then there's Burns Biggity. He's from Harlem. He's pretty good. So like I would like to see that type of collaboration come. That's just me per se because I listen to all of you, and I enjoy listening to your music because of the era that I come from. It's still like that art and that pain and that passion. I like to listen to stuff like that. Tell us, for the listeners out there, where we can find your music at.
So I'm available on all platforms. You can find me on Apple. You can find me on Spotify, on Tidal. I'm on YouTube as well. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm trying to get my TikTok up, man. I just don't like to go
Yeah, I'm
live.
learning. I'm learning that
I don't like
TikTok.
to go live. I used to go live and I used to, it used to be really good, but then, the comments and then I be getting crazy and then they ban you and they're like, get out of here because you're too, and I'm like, but yeah, I'm on pretty much every platform.
Okay, and I'll make sure that I get all of those handles so I can put it in the description and people can find you and connect and listen to your music and follow you.
Okay.
All right. So,
Okay.
you got anything you want to say to anybody out there in closing for affirmations before I close this out?
I just want to say God bless Twist. I hope that you are abundantly and just blessed in more ways than you can imagine. I know that what you're doing is hard, and I know you're an artist as well, and I know it is hard. It's hard work, and nobody sees the hours and the anxiety and what it takes to really do what we're doing. Especially, you know, sometimes we don't feel appreciated like we should, and we don't get the flowers. So I'm giving you your flowers, and what you're doing here is definitely changing lives, whether you know it or not. And you're helping a lot of people. So I pray that God returns it to you 100-fold. And let's get to work, man.
Amen. Thank you, Peach's sister. Love the energy. Like I'm
Of
always
course.
watching you. Very, very, very humble person. You don't let the stardom or what you have done get to your head. And like I always let you know, like, yo, you doing your thing. I see you. And you always make sure that you let me know, thank you. And you need stuff like that, no matter where you came from in life. And I appreciate you for giving me my flowers as I
Of
give you
course.
yours. So we could both smell them together. So, with that being said, that concludes another episode of Let's Talk About It. Don't forget that you can catch episodes every week on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Amazon, and all platforms surrounding podcasts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube. Thank you, everybody. I went from about like 30 listeners, and now I'm almost close to 100.
Let's
That's an
go.
accomplishment for me, and it's been I think it's almost been like 3 weeks now. Um, and I know that's such a short time, and the views are going up. I'm not really worrying about the views. I'm not really worrying about the likes. I hope that the people that are following and subscribing are actually listening to the material that's being put out there, because these are the people from all walks of life. We wrap in the mental health part of it. We talk
Hmm.
about the stresses of all domains. We talking about books, authors. We talking about publishers, digital marketers, you name it. We got poets coming up. We got conspiracy theories finally coming. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's out there watching, because when I reach out to these people, these are people that I feel like their stories need to be put out there. They may not be someone that you feel like is popular or might not have millions of followers, but they are someone that you should recognize in the world, because what they're doing is real and these people are changing lives as well. So, with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed that. I'll leave all the descriptions for Peaches inside the description. Love y'all, miss y'all. Peace.
Peace.